Hi, everyone. Once again, this is a much smaller grouping and also not on our usual night. There's a reason for that. Also, there's a reason for why I didn't have music going on the earlier part of the stream range and why, if highly doubtful, don't really want to do one, if we have a break, there won't be music during that because I'm still having computer issues. If you don't believe me, watch the VOD of yesterday's session with Skad. Anyways,
I'm sorry, you got infected by frustrations. We figured out our tech issues, and now you're getting the
oh
tech
no,
issues that we
I
had.
moved and got my curse back. I did. I'm genuinely cursed when it comes to electronics.
It's
Uh
it's hopping around.
Yeah, it's passing
my
around the
curse.
community, I hear.
So
Like I'm hopping tonight. Whee! I apologize in advance.
tonight we are doing another short draft session. And as you can see from the very compact title, it's the reason the title is very compact is because we have 3 people. When last we had our group together, they were all in the manor in Duskin. A couple days ago, a few of the patriots left, heading off to different areas within the region. One heading home, the other one heading to the nearby city to be able to find a mentor, someone to help her get better at her particular talents. The remaining members of the group stayed at the manor. Some doing research, some working for the most part. We will start with. I'm going to do a dice roll for it. Because why not? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Gods have mercy on our souls. Llama.
Ah, yes.
Oh no. Cool. Yes, guild.
You had mentioned right before any of the retcons and before the separation area that you're going to be sticking around doing some research and also joining up with the Mages Guild.
Yes. Yeah, there's a few things that she wants to get a better handle on in terms of like historical research. She wants to get a better handle on the Titans and the war that made them into barons. Um, and there is another like god that she wants to do some research on. Um, and joining up with the Mages Guild and keeping an eye on these two as well, but mostly keeping to herself. And she's got a letter to write Um, for some reason, she hasn't written it yet, and she will send it off as per the last episode. She will be sending it off right as she gets her other letter, but she hasn't sent it yet.
Right. But you'll get those letters at the end of the session.
Yes.
So I'm going to have you do 2 different roles for the history range. Like, you'll get information that you didn't have before, it's just how much more.
Mm-hmm. I am absolutely going to be guiding myself since I have that spell. Come back here.
Never.
Come back here. Caltrop. All right, found it. All right, so rolling history twice.
We'll do them one and then see how that goes.
Okay. That would be a 15 total.
So, the history of the Titan Barons is a long and sordid one. Like many great leaders over time, especially across Fordun, they were once a group of Evden. It'd help if I actually was hydrated and could talk.
Chug, 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 chug.
I mean, half of this episode is going to be all of us at a bar drinking together, so you know.
We're all kind of going through it right now.
We are. I'm kind of here for it, to be honest.
Okay.
We are a well-polished stream. We all know what we're doing, and we're having a good time doing it.
We're professionals. Not necessarily in this particular field, but we're professionals.
Be careful of the wild magic surge.
Oh yeah, I need to pull that up later.
Ooh.
Don't forget that now you technically get insight into what I have on the
I know, I'm so excited.
so like many of the great leaders, like powerful leaders of Fordun, the barons were once adventurers. They ended up going on a particular series of quests throughout their life that pitted them in opposition with some very nasty dire beasts, as well as a large swath of powerful dragons throughout their lifetime. When they came out the other side, they had been changed permanently. They were not who they were when they had started their adventure. They kept what they had truly become a secret from everyone else. But through their power and their notoriety, they amicably parted the continent, making it so that the inhabitants had leaders that were powerful and devoted to staying at peace because they were all friends during the process. As things do, over time their friendship became strained. Combinations of territory wobbles and petty differences, and for some, a vast difference in beliefs started tearing their friendships apart. After a time, even the citizens could feel the strain. They saw it coming. The inevitability of war. But just before the war had begun, a group had gathered together and changed the terms of combat. By creating a 10th barony. It changed the battle. It was no longer a simple fight of which one of the major flowers, one of the roses, would come out on top. No one assumed that the Red Lotus would be the victor, but most people expected them to survive the ordeal. But this new faction, the Onyx Nightshade, not led by a single person, but by several people, created a different battlefield for those to be able to fight on. When all was said and done, the landscape had changed. Not just physically, but emotionally. The power of the area had forever shifted.
Was this the event that created in her homeland? Because there's two cities, the city of memories and the city of dreams. Was this the Onyx Nightshade, the force responsible for that?
The Onyx Nightshade is partially responsible for that because they're the ones that unintentionally set off the Rose War. They were a new faction, and when those coin purses, when those strings of that coin purse were shifted towards the new faction, all the other powers that be got scared, and that fear, that pride challenged their honor. And they struck. And when that happened, many people, Drow, Dwaggar, Svirfneblin, and humans alike, all flooded from or done that didn't want to be in the middle of the conflict. The city got too big and eventually was starting to literally creak with its magnitude. So it split in half. The lost city in the Azir split into the city of dreams, city of memories. The Admiralties split almost down the middle, with one additional admiral being brought in, because there were originally 5, and now there are 6. But it's 3 admirals per city, and cities vote potentially with or against each other, but in the long run they usually tend to be fairly amicable to each other. Traditions and histories in the Azir are foreign to anyone outside, but that's with all of the major continental points. Each of the 5 oceans are seen as their own sphere of influence.
So this was a series of events that really changed the shape of not just the Astral Sea, but Hordun as well.
Changed a lot of places.
Mhm.
Uro ended up going through its own uprising because of the fallout. Suka had a shift in power around the same time, and the Palandro Expanse, first time in a long time, went under the one banner. It, over time, broke, and many of the islands in Palandro and the Palandro Expanse went to their own seats of government. Uro has gone through many changes. It is a continent almost consistently at war.
Mm.
And Suka is known as the Wildlands for a reason. Like, there are power structures among the Wildlands, but they are never long-lasting. Hordun is one of the few places that have kingdoms, empires, baronies, dynasties that, not even dynasties, titles that last for over an elf's age.
And during these events, the Baron of the Purple Rose and the Baron of the Gold Rose, can she determine how particularly those two shaped all of these events?
During your studies, you realize that the Baron of the Purple Rose was on the cusp of changing the state of war, using his power, his hold over undead. As a baron that had transcended death, he believed himself a god in his own right, and was moving into a position where he would change the parameters of the combat by using all of the fallen soldiers, as a necromancer does. The Baron of the Golden Rose used her status, her power, in direct opposition. And though she overall lost the war, she won many a battle by doing, as far as the Purple Rose saw, the most egregious act: consecrating ground, particularly graveyard.
Ah,
Using her power of the divine, she made it so that way a graveyard could not be used for any necromantic power. No one knows how long that held. Like, the practices of necromancy are still fringe magic at best, because it's been taught down the generations that the reason it's so difficult to start in the study of necromancy is because it's just not feasible.
mhm.
Finding corpses that haven't already been put into a place to even attempt that magic is hard.
So now Mithluna is better understanding the shape of the conflict between the golden and the purple rose.
Right. It is very much a conflict of sheer fucking spite.
It's odd, the more that she's reading this, because being able to sit down and study the War of the Roses to better understand the barons and how they reshaped the world. Um, and also looking at these two, the golden and the purple rose, and really understanding the conflict between consecrated ground and necromancy. Mithluna expected to be more unsettled by these revelations, by better understanding how she fit in to the shape of things, given that she has now completed her promise to her baroness. But the opposite seems to be happening as she's sitting down and reading more of these things instead of getting more agitated as she's reading. Something about her gets more settled and at peace. Well, peace might not be the right word, but definitely settled and definitely less conflicted about the choice that she made. But she's also not done with her research. There is also another god, completely separate from Navarro and Deriched, and separate from the Titans and the Barons. And one that she recently heard on a pirate ship named Balthazul. And she learned that this god was dead. And she wanted to understand better how the records claim that he died.
I'll have you give me another history check.
Come on, nice. Oh, okay, that's a natural 20.
Awesome. Did you guide yourself?
+3. Yep, +3 for guidance and then +1 for history. So 24 total, but a natural 20. Yeah, she really wants to know what's going on with Balthazul.
Do a quick thing.
Mhm.
And there. No one else thought that person attempting to drop a link.
Oh, okay.
And if you try and drop a link, we'll use that link in the chain that holds the hammer.
Hammer time.
So, Balthazul. Your studying for him takes a long time because nothing that you're finding of the early history matches up with anything connected to Hordun.
Mm.
And it takes you a couple days to figure out that the reason you're not finding anything for him much in Hordun is because that's not where his story begins.
Oh.
His story begins in Uro, where he fought against one of the great generals. His army was vast and powerful, but it was outmaneuvered. While he was a brilliant tactician of his age, sometimes just don't win. After being humiliated on the battlefield, he was given the most grievous humiliation of his life. Banishment instead of execution. Leaving Uro, he traveled across the Great Ocean, around the blackened sea edge, till finally arriving at a new land. The dawn of its golden age. Hordun did not know what was being brought to it. But when this dark blue-skinned war breed stepped onto the sands on the western coast, he brought with him war. This golden age had been brought on by a war, but it was a war that ended up in creating a level of peace. But they were still hurting from the battle. The realm was still divided, and it was on its move to being strong again. Wasn't prepared. Balthazul used his cunning and his resources that he was able to bring with him, much compared to what he had, enough to start a new. It was a war of conquest. He was able to take the land in an elf's age. After he got into power, he plunged it into a night that felt like it would last forever. Days were short. The evenings were harsh. Time of ice had begun. Much of Uro is a tundra. And having learned power, be able to tap into that, put him in a very unique place. But it wasn't until he had finished his conquest that he found out something about Ordon. The history books actually have it mentioned. It's buried between several different tomes. The information is not all in one place, which is why so many people have missed it over the years. Ordon is a unique place in the fact that it is one of the few places that a mortal rise Titan can ascend godhood. After having conquered an entire continent, he decided to test this theory. Breaking off the lands among his 12 generals, the 12 holds, started a new age. The conquest was short, but this brutal winter at 12 holds was hard on the land, as Balthazul went inward, searched for ascension. None of the history books mention how he achieved it, but they know that he did. Godhood is not something easily obtained, and it is very noticeable, not only by physical, but it affects the land. The age of two dwarves pass after his ascension, and rumors start popping up. Several people start feeling that this particular god is not suited for this place. They want to change. So they go about doing just that. And over a very long period, they gather the strength, eventually an army, followed by the funding from a man who just started out in a tavern and slowly took control of his hold, and another hold, just by sheer charisma. second, third, fourth, till all the holds were beholden to this one man. One miserable half-elf who used his status, finances to help fund and create an army. The Dragon Knights of Navarro were created. The war breed of South Azul had been protecting the land for generations. And a war erupted. Luckily for Hordun, it was a very short-lived war. But they found that day, at the end of the fight, a very interesting thing. When you kill a god, that energy is sent out. This ragtag group, a druidic child, a human wizard, a human mage, a black orc warrior, musician, all stood there. Only two of them reached the power of ascension through that particular endeavor. The bard would eventually find ascension through another path, and the orc found ascension through means that not many choose. Having lost a close friend, he traveled through the 13 hells to retrieve that soul. At the bottom, out of sheer rage and fury, took the throne. Some say it was one of the dumbest acts of an age, but Grekrix, known for strength, not cunning. A lot of the history from then on seems to fade in and out of myth and genuine history. A golden age was brought into Hordun, led by the minstrel, a half-elf named Navarro Lau. At his side, a mage was tasked with being the first of the true new age of the Mages Guild. The construction of the Grand Tower was created and completed in astonishing time. And Deriched, High Archmage, the Grand Tower took his divine place, floating across the continent, giving wisdom and demonstrations across the land. The druidic child faded off into the great forest. It is believed that Kiki is still somewhere amongst there, but as gods go, she is hard to pin down. Navarro ruled from a castle in Mana for two ages of men before starting to travel again. After those 2 ages, he decided that one continent under one rule, even if by a divine, is not sustainable. So he pulled out an old map, carved the land up into 10 different countries, created the 10 lands.
And we are all now a part of the tales of the 10 lands.
At least that's the chapter in the book that you have started in. You're noticing that there is a disconnect. That this land is different. You're not just in a story of 10 lands. Because in these 10 lands, there are powerful beings. Navarro asked you to do a particular task. It tells you that this isn't just the 10 lands. It isn't just Hordun. This is a realm of the lost gods.
And much of her confidence and newfound security of her now now knighthood. The security is now a little less secure as she is looking down the barrel of what seems like an impossible situation. She is one chaos mage in the middle of what feels like the conflict of gods. And for some reason, she has been put in the middle of it. But for now, she is sitting alone in a library with only the books to guide her as she goes through this journey of discovering and uncovering things that she did not yet know but needs to for the trials to come. And she also has many, many more questions for Navarro, particularly about Balthazul. But for now, she is a lone drow in a library. trying to piece together what feels like the threads of an entirely new fate. And yet it's not entirely a surprise to her, more a confirmation of a message that she'd already gotten. From there, she leans back, runs her fingers through her hair, and says, I need a drink.
As Mithluna gets up and heads to the bar today, we see the time shift backwards. The camera pans over, first into a stack of bookshelves, and then coming out the other side of the camera pan into a workshop. Filigree gold brand. This is before the name change.
Oh, okay.
Is working away at armor, being taught how to deal with mithril. On the side, having been also given a secondary task of a different guild commission brought in as well.
Mhm.
Which is putting studs into a set of leather armor.
Yeah.
As you look over the armor, you realize that the leather armor is Skad's. He left without it and decided to pay for an upgrade. And you are one of the few that is available for commission.
Mm-hmm. I'm so glad he left his armor in my care. So Filigree is going to work and is making a series of like pattern sketches to see exactly how they can lay out the studs to make a flower-like pattern across the back while still being effective. And yes, the flower does look very much like a vulva. As they're slowly kind of just dotting them on a little matrix and going, okay, is this still effective? Let's just rearrange these a bit here. But Filigree is currently mapping out where to put the studs and planning the armaments. It's still going to be very effective studded leather. It's just going to be pretty and a little vulgar. Very Georgia O'Keeffe. And as that's going on, the workday ends and everyone begins to head out. Filigree offers to stay a little bit later to work on a personal item. Filigree removes her holy symbol. They put it in the smelter, melting down the gold it's made out of. They find a rock and smash it, and a good chunk of iron, and begin to remake a very similar symbol, but reassembling the rock together using the gold to secure it, kind of the Japanese broken pottery style, and then securing it with an iron handle where it attaches to the necklace. And that's kind of like they work late into the night, contemplating. Oh, because I haven't had the name change yet, so I can't contemplate. What do you mean yet?
So, as you're working on this holy symbol, we're doing some retconning through some of this, and that's we'll just gaslight the other people later on. kidding. It's called editing. It's not gaslighting if it doesn't hit the it's not, yeah, if it's on the cutting room floor, then it's not gaslighting. It just is a deleted scene.
Okay.
So, as you're working on this holy symbol, you feel like you're in the room alone. And as happens many a times when you're working for long periods of time, you're just focused in, and it feels like the rest of the world is just faded away. It's just you, the forge,
Mhm.
potentially the crucible,
Mhm.
the anvil. Like, it is a small space, and there's nothing else there. No other people, no other sounds. There's no walls. It's just these workstations and the task at hand.
Mhm.
As you go from the crucible and you start moving it towards the sand that you had put together for
Mhm.
pouring in to make your new holy symbol, you see there is a pair of tongs holding it steady. You don't look up at the moment when you do it. You just assume someone decided to just show up and saw you working and wanted to make sure that everything was fine.
Mhm.
You've worked in a guild workshop before. People just help sometimes, just out of
Mhm.
nowhere. And after you pour it, you sit back and you start to wait, and you take a breath. You look up, see who's holding the form in place. Su, stony skin, a fire beard. Like, his beard is made of literal flames. It is a beautiful dwarven-esque beard, but this man stands at easily 8 feet in height, and he is punched all the way down over your workspace. He has short hair that is also literal flame. He looks at the work and looks up to you. Fine work indeed.
Thank you very kindly. I've been wondering why I haven't heard from you in a bit, and I'm going to pull out the gold crane that I made, and I'm going to offer it. I made you something. Um, I've never been good at worship, so my acts of love have always been like gift giving and acts of service. So that you know, there's that.
Those that devote their energy to me, those that give me life myself, these simple hearth home, these are what always precious. Forge and the fire face give us life.
I couldn't agree more. Um, the irony of all this is before this happened, the only decent tattoo I ever got was a quote from you. Well, one of your parables my grandpa used to say all the time. And in the quote across her shoulders, which is actually in Giant, but Giant uses Dwarven runes, says, "Hearth and forge, of these a home is made," and that's across the back of her shoulders. Um, I was like that little phrase and the rest of it regarding iron and blood and of this the hearth is made strong. I always considered it something in regarding sacrifice of yourself to keep your home safe. I had a lot of ideals about home before all this.
Do something that so many do not understand. Sometimes home isn't a small space that rest, a large place that holds.
Mm. Well, I guess is that just a complicated way of saying home is where the heart is? Because I currently don't know where mine really is right now. Well, currently my heart is in vengeance, but now I'm making new friends, and that has given me a pause on some of that.
Home is the end.
Mm.
Could be. Home is a place of rest. Is always rest when you must. Always remember that if you are to temper yourself or to be put task or to be made do the thing required of you. And as he says required, the room feels like like all of the forges in this space light. Then one must put fire. Then one must endure the worst of all. Set the end. To accept movements, striking of the hammer. Only then can the slag be created and then tied. Only then shape be created, and only after that he lifts up the uh, mold that has your holy symbol in it and smacks it down. And you had expected a golden holy symbol in there, and when he hits it down, there is a gold and iron and copper and mithril Damascus forged holy symbol. Only after that, one fine dusts it off. They are. And he offers the holy symbol to you.
Filigree takes it, uh, and as the weight hits their palm, that's a beautiful skill you have there. But what is being asked of me? I don't think we've ever had that conversation.
That is in your... I do wish to prepare you for what is for your task ahead, but I do not wish to put you into a position where you would fear it. I will be honest. What you have been through was only being pulled out back, collected. ahead is the fire, the anvil and hammer after that. But the beginning.
So, you're saying the love of my life dying was not the fire? Oh, that's fantastic. Look, I'm grateful, and I will continue to use what you see fit to share. I need to know that there's an end to this because I, to have power to do what is right is something I take uh, very seriously, and it's something I've avoided up to this point.
No.
Um, so so what is it um that the end brings? Is it death? Because that's somehow the least terrifying of the options.
Goes according to 42. There's death in your future, but not.
Oh, that's yeah, that's the worst option, isn't it? I lived a very selfish life, not joining the knights like my daddy and Star and thinking that I could make money making silly little sculptures despite my grandpa's my peepaw's constant uh badger. And I I just I just wanted to have fun, to to spend the last 300 years of my life with a person I loved. And now not only do I have to continue on without them, that I get to lose more along the way.
Say
But what?
that. I said there is death. Future, yes. But if I forge you right, and if you take to the hammer well, bring holes, not crack, hardened into something that be revered by those close to you. The most beautiful things created are not of a single bit of metal. I pulled you out of the barrel, wraps of those that were going to be left behind and forgotten, do nothing with this grand forge. And as he's talking, the room starts shifting into a new vision of a forge. Dark stone everywhere. I plan to create a billet of many different metals. I plan to use these materials to create a blade that will strike at the heart of an infestation. I plan. I will wrap those others around you. and I will forge, and I will bend, and I will heat, and I will forge, and you will weld, and you will fire, and you will let off the slag, and will be sharpened. Or you will be cast aside, and we hope that this world doesn't change for the ill.
Okay. So be strong. The thing I spent my life not really being. All right. What lies ahead that I need to be used against? And not the metaphorical darkness. There is a shadow fucking dragon that existed and killed my loved ones. So not the metaphor of it all. What am I hardening against?
There are those that wish to unseat powers at be and change this world forever. Change like that will be drastic and harsh. And while I will manage this flare up, and as the forge will burn the iron, we will continue. And the two of us will watch as it changes once again. Even if we don't want it. Too much change has happened in too short of a time, and things are
Kraken.
close to.
All right.
There's the look of stress fractures in. While it may be able that we can grind away the iron and reveal good steel underneath, there is a potential that it won't.
All right. So we'll fix what we can. We'll be strong, and we'll deal with this. You know, you don't really ask little of people, do you?
I don't commune with many.
Yeah, I found that out a little too late after our, you know, I was a holidays and long weekend kind of worshiper, and now we're having this conversation. So that's a change. Um, all right. Well, I'm here. I took your deal, and I have people I want to protect, and I have even more people that I don't want them to deal with what I've dealt with. Um, so we got a contract. What's my buyout? I want to protect as many people as possible, and we're gonna watch the world change for better or worse. I want to know how far I can go to make it better rather than worse.
I have seen the next strikes ahead. I have seen the fire being lit. Before you are tossed in the flame, you will see 3 lumps of coal. Sorry, let me rephrase that. There are 4. Because my brain skipped over the fact of like there's that particular plot point that I'm going to be dropping in at the beginning of the next arc. But those particular pieces lead to the last piece. There are 4 lumps of coal that you will be shown. 4 people. Be it literal, be it metaphorical. I want their heads.
I have a new buddy who's very interested in the literal side of that thing. But I enjoy a good metaphor when it's not, being vague for vague's sake. Great. So four people need to die.
And in return, among that period, I will position you, yours. The edge is ready. Go after yours.
Okay.
Vengeance, I know, is something that you are planned on, and I will not stop you. Many a time, a blade is not finished until it has cut and shows blood.
Never thought of myself as a weapon before. Interesting. The irony, I heal people. All right.
Back of a blade is just as strong and useful as the edge. Though you protect, though you heal, you are what gives the edge. You, the hardened core. Sure that the rest of the blade doesn't dull striking. I have picked you as the core. That said, others will see it differently. But you, Filigree, Iron Blood, you are going to war for this weapon forged among men. And as he talks, he just turns his head for a moment, looks off into the distance, and then turns back.
Duty skull.
Now, things. This is not been tempered yet. You have not been put to oil. Everything is still malleable.
Including my name, apparently. I like it though.
The
Stronger than
gold
gold.
brand is my old vision. He holds out his hand, showing. He holds out his left hand, showing the maker's mark that has been used over the years as the holy symbol. The raw hammer. Brand of gold that shows that things still changing. He holds out his right hand, and you see a war hammer, not a smith's hammer, with a drop of blood forged in the top of it. But this is the feat that is required. And as you look down to your holy symbol, for the first time you realize that your holy symbol, this war pick, is that. The war pick. Not a piece of stone at the end of a handle like the gold brand holy symbol. And etched into the side of it is a teardrop that is filled with a red stone. You are the first of your name. Hold it proud.
I will. And I'll do my best. No, I'll do what is necessary because somebody has to. And I'll do better than my best if that's what is required of me. I need this to go well.
Ask the most of you. If what is required is more in hand, I will understand. I will. Graces upon a failed blade.
No, this won't fail. Now, in the grand scheme of things, I don't know what your final goal is, but my blade won't crack. This is gonna suck the entire time it happens.
Fire is something that you are going to put in, yes, but relax you. You'll be able to take respite away from anvil. You must be tempered. As you know as well as any, that tempering is between the balance all of you behind the shown throughout my teachings that you cannot forge a great work. Your arm will fail. Hammer will fall. The only thing that you will create a box of
All right. So slow and steady. All right.
remember, patience is what will get you through this. You don't need harder, flame, or long.
Right. Okay. I can do this.
Fire is set in spring.
Spring.
No, sorry. The fire is set in summer.
All right. They're saying it's going to be a cruel summer. Fantastic. All right.
Also, as you remember, summer is the next starts at the next moon.
Yep. So like it's coming up.
Yeah. The reason that he's saying it this way, you've probably come to notice in character that
Mhm.
he is one of the like old gods, talking not in a direct path. Like
Yeah.
it's not their way.
Mhm.
Newer gods talk in a more modern feel. He is genuinely an old god. He is, as you're standing near him and as the world shifts and changes as you're pulled away, you can tell that he is less of a being pulled into power and more of a and more of a being of power.
Mhm.
He is less a person and more a concept made real.
Oh, that's terrifying. Um, so is he gone as I come?
As you come back, he is gone, and you are standing in the workshop. You're holding a bit of the armor, and it's the next day. You've changed clothes. You feel rested despite everything.
Mhm.
You can tell that he has shifted time around what is needed and let you work.
Mhm.
Because as you've probably mentioned in the past, sometimes reshaping armor is mindless work. You could do it in your sleep.
Right.
As this currently feels, you didn't do it in your sleep, but you did do it in your astral projection.
Okay. All right. Hey, Miss Riverrat. I
Blood
am
Screamer.
gonna. Huh? Oh, sorry, Blood Screamer. You're right. Uh, Ms. Blood Screamer. I am gonna cut out a little bit early today. I'll be back for my usual work and everything. I need a drink. It's been. I also got to get a bunch of paperwork started. Name change. Iron Blood. We'll talk more about it if you want to. It's been really professional, which I kind of prefer, but like just to clarify for future interactions. Anyway, I gotta go. I gotta go to the guild, and then I gotta go drink until I stop having a panic attack.
Just looks at you as you walk out, and you don't necessarily
Mm.
see or hear, but you kind of feel the I work with river rights kind of.
Yep. So yeah, I'm gonna swing by the 3 guilds I'm a part of. I'm gonna start the paperwork, and then I'm gonna go to the bar and hopefully find Mithluna to talk to her about mommy issues.
You got it. Also, I need as long as the bar also has a deck, so I can go look out at the stars. We're good.
Yep.
We'll get to the major bar scene.
Yep.
Perfect.
As the camera chases after Filigree heading out of the room, it cuts into the side of the wall and passes through, and on the other side is a much different area of the library. And Fiacre is sitting poring over notes, paperwork, trying to continue up with the skill of learning forgery and how to mimic others' handwritings. And among all of it, messing with a ring given to them by a very strange individual. Camera.
Fantastic. I will ask just briefly out of character as to whether I or you am voicing the familiar with which you granted me.
That is actually a very good question. So far to date, the out of voice range, like basic physical movements for the most part have been up to the bass player, but I have been the physical voice of the other familiar in the party to date. And if you would like to keep that as
That
a
works
trend,
great.
I am perfectly willing to keep the trend of the familiar is voiced by the disembodied VOG.
That works fantastically for me. Wonderful. So yeah, Fiacre is trying to pack a lot of learning into this month. And so I will say the first thing is that to note is that as they live in the castle, some things change about them because they have very much been kind of on the run, on the road. Very much a person who never really sits down for more than long enough to like kind of get drunk in a bar, sleep with someone long enough to get a room, and maybe play a song or two on the street corner for some more coins, and then move right the fuck on. And this is really the first time that they've kind of sat down for a whole month and really just gotten the chance to dig in, because now's the time when they're finding, their sage background and everything. They're really finding that this is the library that they've been looking for, and this can teach them a lot of things about what they're looking for, where they've been, just everything they're trying to do. This is the library that they have been seeking. In addition, as you said, Fucker the 12th is a fantastic mentor with regards to forgery. And Fiacre, became so good at lying because they really didn't come from this wealthy background. They didn't come from this refined background that they like to put on airs about. They came from this background of destitution, if we're being honest. And so Fiacre's entire shtick is kind of learning to fake it till you make it, and really trying to bluff their way into a situation where they can pursue their goals, because they know that money talks and bullshit walks. So they're trying their hardest to learn about who they are, where they've been, where they're going. They want to learn more about this familiar, this earring that they've been gifted, that they think of as their key to the next step in their personal journey. So when they finally attune to it and it summons this weird fey imp, and they've never heard of a creature like this before. They're struggling to learn more about it and try to leverage it and get it to tell them more about where they're going. and what kind of clues they need to be looking for, because their overall personal goal is to solve this matter of who is the creature that ruined their old life.
Give me a investigation check. We'll say at advantage and essentially with guidance. Because while it's not a magical guidance, you are in a place with enough knowledge to where guidance can be a thing. And you are in a weird part of the library. Like, you're not looking at history, you're looking at stories. And with your past and the feat that you took, time is a weird soup.
Oh yes. So investigation. This is gonna be a hell of a roll. So I rolled a 15 plus 4 for my investigation, plus guidance plus 4. So I got a 23.
This is about to be a wild fucking trip. Come on, kids, we're gonna have a lore dump. But is it really a lore dump if it's not historical text that you're going through?
Is it?
What I'm about to go through is a culmination of several days, if not a couple weeks, of studying and searching, and it's a paragraph out of this book and a chapter out of this book and just a sentence out of this book and half of this book, but not all in like a solid half, and bits and pieces and parsed together after time after time after time. Finally, with 2 full journals of story together, you are finally able to start a new journal. This is the story that you have come across. A long while ago, there was several adventurers that looked to the skies for power. They were not an average sort. A little fox, an elven man, a orc, little gecko, and a troll. We're not talking like D&D fantasy trolls. We're talking like trolls that would let it go. I can't go any farther into that particular copyright range, but it's very chilly. Some say it might be frozen. There's the faces of knowing. And they started this trip together. Each of them wanted be able to touch the stars for a different reason, and thought that they could get it a different way each. The fox thought that through knowledge, they can find a way to the stars. The fox started to learn to write. The orc thought that the only way to the stars was to climb there. They started to learn the strength of climbing in air. The gecko thought that the only way to get to the stars was to go through the continent. Dig down deep enough, and if it's viable, if it is a thought that happens in the astral sea, certainly, if you dig far enough down, the lizard dig their way into the stars. The troll believed that the only way to get to the stars was by sailing to the stars. Because they're always on the horizon, at the edge of the water, far away, and you can just get there. Water. And the elf man believes that the only way to get to the stars, climb the tallest tree. Tallest tree must touch the sky. So, to the forest. He passed through many places and across many different sites. Came across a large forest. Deep in the forest, he spotted a tree. But this tree was guarded by a pack of wolves. Wolves told the man that he is not allowed to get to the tree. The tree sacred to the wolves. The elf man believed that being able to climb the tree was the right thing for him, that it was his destiny. He had seen it. The wolves stood strong. The pack held together. They will not let him get to the tree. Man said, I must climb this tree, and I will do anything I have to. He devised a plan. He left. To be able to get someone to be able to distract the wolf. He searched and searched and searched till he found this town was filled with many different people of vibrant colors and of different sizes and shapes. Decided to pick 3. A child of purple, a child of red, and a child of... And he brought them all to... Before he walked into the forest with the children, gave them each simple fruit. Said, if you eat this fruit, you'll be able to make it through the forest. You will see the wondrous things that are beyond the forest. This fruit is the only thing to protect. I will be right here to make sure that nothing... Children, being excited to be able to see what is beyond the forest. They'd lived near it for so long, and they were always scared of the wolves inside. That they would eat the fruit. And as they ate the fruit, flowers sprung out of their ears. The man took the flowers, said, "The petal of memory, I will leave you with a future. Let them go into the forest." But the kids didn't all go in the same direction. Over time, kids just fairy tale doesn't tell what happens to the children. Fiacre, you think you know what happens. They ended up in a new town, adopted by a small family that just child that had lost so much of their past, and all they can remember, simple face, man that told them, "I will bring you one truth, one question. Now, tell me, is your last name?" The memory rings in your head. Does Fiacre have a last name?
The one I have written is Marlowe.
Though the name may not hold true, and you might keep to your future, there's a name that rings in your head. Magus. Memory fades away.
And hands shaking, Fiacre slowly puts down the book that they were referencing, and for just a little bit can't write anymore, and just lights one of the cigarettes that Philly gave them, and just sits and leans back and tries to center themselves. And I think around that time, the earring sort of activates, and the fey creature inside sort of comes out, and Fiacre looks at them with a mixture of awe, because they love this world that they are chasing, to some extent, and at the same time they are in fear of it, because they don't understand it, and as an intellectual they prefer to understand things. This creature that's a mystery to them.
This fey little creature just looks at you for a long moment, looks at the table, looks back at you, then starts going to several of the books and starts picking them up and rearranging them. Till after a short bit, it's created a little throne of books with armrests and a backing and everything, and it hops into the seat, cocks its head to a side. You wanted to see me, Miss.
You called me what now?
It is what you are, yes? You are a Magis?
Uh, yeah, yes, yes, I would suppose so. That's entirely fair. Pardon me. And yes, thank you for showing. It has been a long road to bring you to me. And now I must find a way that you and I can persist and proceed. You see, I need your help.
I will do anything I can to assist. How may I be of service?
We can communicate telepathically. This I know. This we've discovered, and for which I am grateful. So far, our progress has been swift and acceptable. But I wonder, can I give you an image?
What kind?
A face. One that I remember from long ago.
If you are to draw, I will see what I can do.
And Fiacre does so.
Do you have proficiency in the painter's tools?
I don't think I do. I think I have pretty limited proficiency in general with any tools. No. Yeah, no, I don't have it. I have
Then
skills.
it is a particular tool set.
Sure.
So either dexterity or intelligence.
Fantastic. I think I'll roll intelligence since that's far better for me.
If your Jack of all trades is activated, you would also be able to apply that.
Yep. Thankfully, D&D
Does-
Beyond does that for me and doesn't ask me to remember anything.
Jack of all trades goes into tools as well.
I think so. That's like.
Really?
I am going to.
Hold on.
Because if so, then I've been selling myself short for quite a while, and that would be quite amazing.
Any ability check.
Hmm.
as Raw says, to any ability check, and that would technically be a either skill and or tools.
Huh.
So it's half proficiency.
Oops, if I can.
My proficiency bonus would add a +1, so that's awesome. So then that would be a 16 in total.
The image is very close to the face that you remember, but I don't know, something seems off about it.
Just like when I draw in real life.
The fey creature steps forward, looks at the page upside down for a second, then gets right in front of your face to look at it the proper direction. I believe that this is your boyfriend?
I
Like, there's a genuine questioning look on his face. Like, without needing to roll an insight, you're pretty sure he has no idea who this is, and he's trying to figure out how this person connects to you.
I mean, to be quite fair, I
To
don't
be fair.
actually remember whether or not that's true. I have very little memory of this person. I'm not sure. I'm not sure that I was old enough to have a boyfriend, although I did have some boyfriends pretty early. In any case, irrelevant as to whether we were, sort of intimate or not. Um, I I'm just hoping to find them again.
Then I will do my best to keep my eyes. And they open their eyes to an unnatural wideness field for them. Or they blink
Thank you.
again and look at you.
Fair enough. Thank you, dear Grelin.
Do you call him Gremlin or Grellin?
Grelin, Grellin is what I settled on.
Very good. Then Grellin it is. As a side note, I did add a language to them.
Oh
Just
yeah, what language?
one that your character doesn't know.
Oh, interesting. Well, that's helpful.
I know, right? I needed to give
All
them that
right.
particular language because they needed that language.
Well, I'll have to just trust your judgment on that now, won't I?
I mean, that's where your name comes from, or the name that we are hearing. Don't worry about it. The great words of
Interesting.
River Song. Spoilers.
Uh,
And this is
Understood.
one I am holding close to my chest.
That's perfectly fair. When you have a
We'll see.
character with a mysterious past, I mean,
It kind of walked into
uh,
mysterious future.
yeah, absolutely, right? Like you almost kind of hope for it, right?
Hey DM, just screw up my life in the best and funniest of ways, but like make it plot relevant. Okay.
Okay. So Fiacre continues to, throughout the month, try and grow closer to Grelin and try to sort of understand their bond with this creature more, so that when the time comes for them to leave this place, because Fiacre has no illusions. Over the course of the month, they do actually stop wearing their protective cloak. They stop wearing their armor. They even stopped wearing their rapier, which honestly is kind of a first for them. They stow all those things in their trunk in their room, and for the first time since they left their home village, they're actually kind of dressing in just regular clothes and carrying only a dagger. But over the course of this, you know, they're trying to come to terms with this new relationship with this new creature. That, as far as they're concerned, is their main link to this mysterious past and, as you said, this mysterious future. Are they able to learn a whole lot about where this creature comes from?
Not directly. This creature is. By they. I mildly occasionally forget that. When having two characters in the same scene, with both of them being non-binary, sometimes the they is this particular they, or that particular they, or they.
Yep, it's a fucking struggle. I'm writing a book with that situation multiple times. It sucks.
It's the and in 5 rows conundrum. Mildly pulling away from the campaign for a second. Have you heard of that conundrum before? How to get
No.
and 5 times in a row? Legally in a, like, grammatically legally in the same sentence?
No.
This is probably going to be edited out of the main far end, but you'll enjoy this.
I'm sure I will.
There's a man that has a company. The company is called This and That. And they decided to get a sign hung up on the outside of their building. When they look at the first major sketch, they realize that the lettering spacing between the words is all different and just a little bit off. So they go up to the artist and say, this needs to be fixed. The distance between this and that are all different, and we need to sort it out.
Motherfucker. Oh, you know I'm a sucker for linguistics.
I thought you would enjoy that.
Oh, yes.
So you're trying to sort out between yourself and this fey creature.
Yes.
And the connection that the two of you have. It is hard for me to put into words at this particular moment how in-world it feels for the mechanical benefits of having a familiar around. You have occasionally bumped into walls when you have asked that Grelin sits back and looks over books for you as you head towards the bar on a couple evenings, or head to your room, and you put your eyes into the eyes of this creature. The eyes of, like, your own eyes. Describe how it is when your eyes just almost glaze over in some kind of way, and how Relin's eyes look when their senses are taken over.
So I would say that it's it's especially easier to understand for people who, you know, are sort of accustomed to extended internal daydreams is not a strong enough word, but some of us, I think, actually, especially those of neurospicy, as some people have said, characteristics, will occasionally sort of just retreat into an internal mind space and have a sometimes literally visual sense that I've kind of described Fiacre as having of things that are not actually in front of you. So Fiacre will occasionally, you know, transfer these senses, and learning to make it entirely voluntary, I feel like does take some doing. Where, like you said, you know, sometimes they are just going about their business and they're curious about their familiar, and rather than just kind of being curious consciously, they end up literally finding their vision becoming a little blurred, like as if you were on perhaps too much alcohol or just enough of a psychedelic variety of substance, and the vision kind of dances and changes and coming into the forefront like one of those illusory optical illusion pictures. Suddenly they see it. They see the kind of wavering at the edges of their vision as a page comes into the forefront, as if in front of their vision of the rest of the world, and they realize that they're seeing through their familiar's eyes. And then an incredible pain in their forehead and nose as they collide with a wall, and it's unpleasant and embarrassing, and they're in all their finery, and they're trying to be very upright and fitting in this castle, and among the nobility, and it's incredibly unfortunate, but they sort of through sheer desire to not stand out as an absolute peasant who doesn't belong here, they are forcing themselves to learn how to control this power.
Additionally, how does it look for those on the outside? Because this is a magical effect.
Yes. I would say that it is specifically not. I think that, you know, you've kind of described that like eye glow is definitely a thing in this setting, with regards to magic. I think that specifically with Fiacre and this particular effect, it is a pupil thing. And so like the blacks of their pupil is specifically kind of will turn to a little bit more of like a deep greenish, almost like not dark, but almost bioluminescent green glow, of like a fungus glowing in the midnight kind of glow. Um, and that will happen, and they will just suddenly have to kind of regain control of themselves and maintain upright position and try to everything is fine.
Additional note, like when that happens to your eyes, that also happens to their eyes. Like
Oh,
that
fantastic.
coloration change is kind of a outward signal, but it's one of those like if you know, you know, if you don't, you don't. It could be any spell, and creatures like
Sure.
that can cast magic, and you can cast magic, so like visual based magic isn't unheard of.
Sure.
It's not the most common thing, but it is not unheard of.
And so I think that they're slowly trying to build a rapport with this minion. They simultaneously want to establish that they are sort of the dominant creature in this engagement, because they do want to have a minion that they can command for the purposes of achieving their goals. And yet at the same time, I think that they're also very careful as to how they carve out that dynamic, because they're also extremely aware of sort of how rare in their experience and in their research it is to actually come across a fey creature, especially one that you have more than a fleeting glance upon. And so the idea that they have an item that's going to allow them to summon one essentially at any time, at their beck and call, they're kind of reverent of this earring, this new item, and it's a tenuous and arduous task in their mind, at least, to grow closer to it. At the same time, they are, as you pointed out, using this creature to do research in this library, this vast repository of knowledge that they would not normally have access to, and via trying to pretend to be the noble who belongs here, right? They're learning from both Fucker the 12th and the many books that are here, both how to forge credentials and documents for the purpose of subterfuge, which is their #1 method of attaining new connections and ways and means. But also they want to learn about this key and the history of these paths through time and space, and how they were formed, and what they might attain if they could actually gain mastery over such things. Because as a world traveler, as someone who's had to walk on the ground for many days at a time and hope desperately that they can make it to the next town, they know just how important it is to be able to teleport between place to place, how revolutionary such a technology would be.
Are we going to unlock fast travel?
Not for a little while. But Fiacre does realize that that after their dream that they had of this particular individual dream, memory, nightmare, they are able to, on occasion, just as they're walking, they think, I should probably be moving a bit faster. I should get down the hallway a little bit quicker. Then they take a step and there's a greenish mist that they seem to walk into and then out of almost instantly a ways down.
I think at first they think that honestly that they've just been spending way too much time awake, and they they just think that, like, ah, shit, I've been hitting the books really hard. I've been like trying to train with my new familiar really hard, And then every time that I have the chance to like go sleep, I instead go down to the bar and convince Philly to buy me some more drinks. So like I'm doing that micro sleep thing at first, and then like it just keeps happening at times when they don't even feel tired and they're just like, okay, I don't know. Actually hold on. Something magic's going on here.
The magic is not fading. It is limited, but it doesn't seem to go away. And you're starting to learn that this is something that you can do fairly regularly, and you're beginning to learn to control that.
I think that Fiacre slowly finds themselves sort of reveling in this situation they found themselves in, because they were always just kind of a loser busking from town to town trying to figure out how to find any clue at all, even one that would lead them along their way to finding who is this creature that asked them for their name, and then disappeared without a trace. Who, where did their life go? Where did this family that they thought they had just, how did all of that just evaporate seemingly into the green mist? And like right, like just trying to literally find any trace of a clue. And now not only have they found an actual item that literally will allow them to summon a creature of the type that they need to help set them on the path at any time, but also they have somehow become the subject of the attention of the gods, and they somehow have this greater destiny that sort of is spanning out before them, and they're not just some loser busking from town to town anymore. And for the first time, I think that there is not just dread of the sort of the Mendo Kusai. I'm fucking thinking in Japanese right now, and I need to start thinking in English. The fuck me, it's not just, life isn't just a pain in the ass anymore, is I guess what I'm trying to say, right?
Yeah.
Like life just isn't kind of a pain in the ass anymore, trailing along between annoying task to annoying task, but actually there's hope, weirdly enough. There's a something on the horizon, and they don't really know what that something is yet, but there's something. And I think that something changes their demeanor in a way that hasn't really been changed in decades, from dread to a bit of eagerness. And although I think that when they first, were at the castle, and like, Llama and Philly would try to get them down to the bar, and I think Fiacre at first would very much, still be their usual kind of guarded self, and usually like groan and like trudge and kind of show up and be like, yes, hello, I'm here as you requested. I think that they do kind of start to get a little bit of peppo in their stepo, and they're kind of showing up with a little bit more presence. They're a little bit more present in the moment when they show up and to talk to be at the bar, and rather than just kind of drinking and being around people, they're being present with Philly and Mithluna, and they're not dreading seeing people, maybe for the first time in a long time. And I think for them that's arguably a big step.
The days pass and the weeks you're getting closer and closer to the end of this move. Late week, you all have a time to sit down together at the bar. You're becoming more familiar with this place. The Raven's Roost.
Anyway, Ms. Luna, all I'm saying is, while you're doing your research, if you look into anything, if you're summoning demons, elementals, spending a wild knife with a paid or freelance escort, what you need to do is you need to let somebody know where you're going to be and when to expect you back, because you never know when these things are going to go wrong. Now, 9 times out of 10, everything's fine, but the one time you end up handcuffed to a bedpost for a whole long Memorial Day weekend, and nobody comes to check on you, and by the time they find you, you have severe dehydration, you learn your lesson. Somebody should really find you when when you're doing some dangerous things. It's not about not summoning demons. It's about summoning demons ethically, is what I'm saying.
I have so many questions. So I'm assuming they're in the outside part of the bar because Mithluna wants to look up at the stars at this point.
Yeah.
Yes, there is a patio.
Perfect. And Mithluna's going, okay, fair, but to be fair to me,
To be
I
fair,
don't willingly summon demons. It just, it's the Mages Guild thing. It's the wild magic. It sometimes kind of happens. Like I got gored by a unicorn that I summoned, and I didn't know unicorns didn't like people. I found out very quickly.
I didn't know unicorns didn't like. Well, we don't see a lot of unicorns. They keep to themselves. That said, hey, we're outside having a drink, and I think Fiacre might be joining us later. Anyway, what I'm saying is, let's talk about your self-value regarding your nomenclatures and your honorifics. What was the deal with that? Because everyone else was so quick to refer to you as captain, and you just immediately rejected that. And I'm not projecting anything because I'm not working through my own stuff, but I just want to figure out why you don't feel like you're worthy of a higher title. Which parent did you feel like you disappointed?
Okay. If you're gonna be poking that wound,
Fiacre, if you want to drop in
in
any moment, you're allowed to.
Can you at least buy me a beer before I drop into that kind of trauma?
Yeah, I'll get you a beer. Fiacre drinks that weird shit. I'll pre-order that for them when they show up here eventually.
Look,
hello there.
Fiacre,
I
good.
sense that you spoke of a devil, and so here I am.
The most fabulous devil appears. Thank you so much. Fiacre, tell me everything about what you've been doing.
No,
right
we're
now.
not talking about your parent issues.
Oh, I
Mm.
see. We were finally digging into that, were we?
Right? I've been thinking about this for a long time. Also, I rolled new cigarettes, so you can have some there. Keep with you.
Oh, thank you, dear.
All right. So,
Okay. Okay. So this is a thing, isn't it?
uh,
Ah. So I'm assuming Fiacre or someone else told you, maybe Silver before she left, that these circumstances of me coming to this plane of existence are a little hairy, to say the least. That I fell from the sky covered in burns and I was found in the middle of the ocean by that pirate ship that then tried to murderize my friends afterwards.
And me. Also
Yes.
me.
Your friend. Did you miss this memo, Fiacre? Your friend.
the fun news
I'm
is,
trying to get used
Fiacre,
to the idea.
they don't have to be your friends. They will just claim you as a friend. I've learned this the hard way.
I'm
It's
just
true.
trying to get used to the idea, really.
Yeah. Relatable. Um, but okay,
Look,
so
when I
that's
was
how you.
over,
Uh-huh.
yeah, that's how I came here. And look, I was raised to be a captain. I was
Mm,
born I was born to a ship's captain, my mother. The first mate was my father. The Dwagar, that's how I know Dwarvish, and she speaks the Dwarvish phase, but you know that there is a decided Azir accent to it.
mhm.
Um, I was raised to follow in my mother's footsteps, and I was raised that even if I did not become captain of the Violet Skies, I would become a captain. But that changed when my magic started coming in. And it changed. And she starts like rubbing her face and takes another sip of alcohol, and you can tell that this is a thing that gives her genuine distress.
Mhm.
Is it
Um,
like a puberty thing, might I just ask?
yes,
Did
you
you wear
know,
white shorts after your first moon cycle?
that is a mistake everyone makes. To be fair,
To be
everyone does this.
fair,
I didn't know what boobs were, and then I tried to go shirtless on the deck of the ship and found out that was a bad idea. Um, no, but the thing is, when my magic started coming in, it was worse than the embarrassment of bleeding through your shorts. My magic was unpredictable in a way that was detrimental to the ship. Like, if you're okay, if you're a captain and you're on a ship, it
Mhm.
is you and the wood and your crew. And then the wilds of the ocean, of the astral sea, and the storms that buffet you from place to place. You can rely on no one but your ship and your crew when you are captain, and your crew is relying on you to know what you're doing and to be solid when no one else is. But my magic isn't like that. My magic isn't solid. It isn't stable. It isn't predictable. I can't be a captain with magic like this. Because what happens when my magic goes off? At one point, the City of Dreams was being plagued by a disease. A disease that needed a magical cure. It was strange, it was dangerous, and there were many ships that were being tasked with going in different directions to try and find the ingredient, the flower that would give us the cure. And our ship found it, and found the guardian that came with us in order to transport this incredibly important ingredient.
Oh,
And we
I
were
see. Go.
chased. We were chased by I don't even know what. We were chased by another ship. And the guardian of this ingredient was about ready to throw the ingredient overboard and to undo all of the danger that we went through, all of the trial, all of the trauma, and I went to stop him. And in that confrontation, I was thrown overboard. I did not fall into the void. I did not fall here. I was saved. But the saving was not kind. So it was at that time I thought maybe I could keep this magic under wraps. But that encounter showed me I couldn't. There was no way to. And so I talked to my captain and my first mate, my mother and my father, and we decided it was time for me to find my fortunes elsewhere. And at that last goodbye, my magic went off. And the last thing I remember when I fell off the ship was my mother and my father and one of my crewmates on fire as I fell, burning myself. When I say I'm not a captain,
Damn.
all of the companions may disagree here. But I am not a captain because I am not capable of being the stable force that a captain needs to be. I am the falling elf on fire. I'm not the rock that the ship needs to be. At
Well, I'd like
least for now. And then she kind of looks off and you see kind of the gold glint in her,
Mm.
the one eye that's still left.
Well, I'd like to point out that all a leader needs to be is a force of personality. Everything else is just set dressing. Now, a good leader is steady, is solid in themselves, but a great leader surrounds himself with people who can balance them. Whether that be they are someone who is a flight of fancy and they want to go on these grand adventures, they need a navigator that's going to keep their heading. If you are a strong and stalwart and dedicated leader in the sense of a captain who wants to just complete each task, you need a first mate that is going to make you take risk and make you go above and beyond, take contracts that you wouldn't if you were just doing your 9 to 5 job. Balance and a good captain.
Contracts.
That is correct.
Contracts like you take?
I took jobs that would put me in touch with people of power. And some of that was just doing a job that's an escort mission. Some of that is spotting a group of foolish individuals that run headlong into a very dangerous mine and going, I wonder how crazy they'll be. Now, it's still a job. I still need to make sure everything's on the up and up. I need to do that for myself. I need to do that for the people I'm taking care of. I'm not working with any scabs where I have to worry about what's going to happen to their body if they do fall in battle. I'm going to work with people who know what they need, know what they want, and are stalwart professionals. Now, what kind of professional they are is different.
You strike me as someone who will not work with someone who isn't competent.
Define competency, because I, for one, never once picked up a weapon. And yet here I am in the Adventurers Guild. I mean, you can argue that a hammer is a weapon, but like in the truest sense of I am truly a smith. Now, I worked very hard on those.
Then how did you survive? What
Uh,
did you do?
oh, I made a deal with a god, and then when I had those powers, I joined the Adventurers Guild, and then used those.
You see the color starting to drain from Mithluna's face.
Yeah, it's
A
haunting.
god, which one?
I'm gonna pull out my new holy symbol, which I did have the original holy symbol to Hordon Su Fiacre, but I'm gonna set the new one. Hordon Su Fiacre, the one that made this place. He's scary. Like it's like being in the heart of a fire, but you are ice, and so you know the force of their presence will take you out, but you got a few moments before you melt and really start to panic. Um,
You have one of those little stacks of pamphlets, like the little booklets. You go to door and, kind of drop them
Have
off.
you heard of our Lord and Savior, Hordon
no,
Su?
You
you
heard
just
the good
you
news?
joke. He's rebranding. Look at this new holy symbol. It was a fucking gold nugget on a stick, and now it's a goddamn warhammer with blood in it. I am terrified. Do you know he
It's
wants
very
me to be
stylish.
his weapon? Well, no, more importantly, wants me to be one person that is part of the weapon. I I got into this for vengeance. I'm gonna be real honest with you. When Star
Vengeance.
died, I got into all of this for vengeance. I thought I'd die adventuring. Like I'm not a fighter. I was just like I was gonna keep as many people up as I could, maybe take out a dragon. If I'm really lucky, take out a fucking queen. But I was just gonna like vibe until I stopped existing, and then in whatever afterlife we end up in, get reunited with Star. That was my whole goal, and now I made a fucking deal about not dying yet, and now I have a new name. Life is terrifying, and sometimes I regret that I've made it this far, and other times I'm like, I have to do this, or else everything bad will happen, and more bad things will happen to people like me and my dad and Star. And you ever feel a great weight of responsibility and you just kind of want to cry?
Daily.
All right.
And Mithluna gives you a look in your eyes. It's like, I understand. And the understanding is in a way that she has not seen exactly what you have seen, but she gives you a look in the eye that she has seen something similar. Nods and flags over a tavern worker and says, "We need a whole pitcher of beer over here because we don't need to be getting up to the bar to get more."
Oh no, please. If I could get a double, no, a quadruple. What's
A
greater
bottle
than
of
a
Nomis fire
quadruple?
whiskey.
Thank you dearly. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
So we'll do the fire whiskey. We'll got the beer chaser. It's gonna be a long night.
I suspect it will be.
Yeah.
Who is Star?
Oh, Star was the love of my life. Okay, so we grew up childhood best friends, and then we were our first everything, that kind of experience. And
Mhm.
dwarves are a relatively long-lived race, so there was no rush to get married. We just always knew we'd stay together, and spend the better part of a century with each other. She goes off to help the king on some bullshit mission, and her and my dad just never come back. And the king is dead. He's dead, I think. And the queen's doing nothing about it. It's a shit show, actually.
So this is personal for you.
Well, it started personal. Now it seems big picture, and that's very scary. It was easier when it was
Yeah.
personal.
Yeah, because it's less pressure when it's personal
Yeah.
than when you feel like you've got the fate of more than just yourself on your shoulders.
Yeah.
Things change.
Like you've had your whole life stolen from you by some bullshit destiny that you had no part in making.
Yeah.
You know, Philly, I really can't express how much I can kind of understand where you're coming from to some extent. Right. I mean, I get the concept. I must say, on the other hand, I actually think that for me, the idea that this may be something bigger than just some tragedy that I can't get over. The idea that perhaps there's something else for me out there besides just my own sorrow and sort of crushing dead-end grief. Honestly, kind of makes me think about tomorrow in a way I've never thought about before. And although I agree with you, and I think that it's scary, I think that there's something hopeful about the idea that maybe we have a tomorrow where we don't just wake up in a pile of rags, wondering whether this is all for nothing.
No. No, based on what I've been reading, this is far from all for nothing. It's a little bit terrifying, to be honest.
What
The
have you
bartender
been fucking
walks
reading?
over and sets down a pitcher and a bottle before reaching into into his vest and pulling out 3 letters. These came for you.
Oh, for me?
Passes 1 to each of you.
Is this
Well,
the changeling?
Yes. Well, as you have gathered to this point, this is the bartender. This is Marcus. Marcus is the bartender. This is also Tuesday, Marcus.
Oh, okay.
Oh, sorry.
Marcus,
Let me rephrase
darling.
that. This is Zivo Marcus. Remember, the days of the week.
Different dates.
The
Yep.
days of the week are Lenket, Zivo, Emru, Olap, Zuox, Yidu. Not that you'll remember from me just listing that off right there.
Yeah, I always like Zivo Marcus. They're slightly less snippy.
Marcus, and
Yes.
from her coat, because she's wearing her bright neon coat that on the inside is the star chart. She pulls out of a pocket from inside of her coat and just and holds it out. I've been putting this off, but Marcus, do you know what to do with this?
I can send it out.
Thank you.
see, I like Zulu Marcus because they're actually extremely snippy, and I just drink up the sass. It's delightful. It's such an inspiration to me.
It is not. It's especially nice when it's not directed at you, but some other patron. It's very funny.
Oh yeah. Oh
It's quite
goodness,
entertaining.
yes.
All right. So do
I
we
saw
want
someone
to?
try to hit on them the other day. Oh, that was an amazing. I will cherish that scene for the rest of my life.
First of all, why would you ever hit on service workers? Like they're doing a job. Their job is to be polite to you. Why would
Exactly.
I hope.
It's about as silly as trying to flirt with the ship's cook without knowing if the cook likes you back. Because you really don't want to make fun of the ship's cook.
Yeah.
Not even the captain would dare to do that.
Yeah, they handle your food. So what the
They
fuck
handle
is
your
this
food, and
letter?
there's no one else to do it.
So yeah, assuming we all start opening our letters.
Yeah. The
Yep.
letters are sealed with a bit of wax. All of them are a little bit different, but you can tell that they're probably from the same candle.
Mhm.
And they're pressed with very similar stones. Like the wax is just pressed into place with a stone. And as you open the letters and read them, they are all the same. Upon the new moon, head to the grove north of the map. Directions below. The future is yet to be seen. Game to be played.
The audacity of this bitch. The audacity of this bitch. As okay, do yours say what mine says?
And
Mithluna
like
shows
Billy leans
Fiacre
over.
hers.
It's like, yeah, they're similar.
Okay, okay. You're sure yours is as needlessly demanding as my? Okay, fantastic. Great.
Also,
Who the fuck?
and this is to bring up that extra little fun factor, they are all addressed to you by full name and title.
Question?
Oh, so
Does
mine
mine have
includes
my
of the
hidden
Golden
name in it?
Rose.
Yes. Fiacre, yours has a middle name in it. The middle name being Magus.
Holy fucking shit.
God.
And Filigree, yours is addressed to Filigree Ironblood.
Well, it's Filigree, Royce, Odette, Ironblood, but yeah, sure.
Like,
And
you didn't pass
mine
that
is-
particular bit of information on to me recently.
Yeah, I know.
Well, and mine is Mithluna Rhea of the Golden Rose.
Yeah.
Too. That's her full title.
Oh.
Fiacre does a double take at the name and sort of stops complaining mid-sentence and then puts it down and looks up.
The way that the middle name is put into yours, it's almost like a nickname or additive title. Kind of like Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
So it has quotations. Got it.
No, it doesn't have quotations, but it is written a little bit differently.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Like it's cursive,
Slanted.
block letter, cursive.
Okay.
Well, it's nice to know
No.
that my paperwork for my new name is going around pretty quickly. That's affirming.
Mithuna's gonna get up real quick and
Mm.
kind of walk to the edge of the patio. She's leaving her letter on the table. So you guys can look at it if you want, but she's walking to the edge and she's looking up to the stars. To the shadows among the stars specifically. Cat, get out of my popcorn.
Fiacre does take a look at it to see what Mithluna's full name is, just for their own sort of knowledge, because they want to because now, after looking at their own message more carefully, they are now aware that these notes have more information in them than public record has. These are sort of true names that go beyond what people are known as in public circles. And so Fiacre's like, interesting. Yes, let me double check to see that you're all telling me your full names. And in any case,
In that case, let me give you the actual full thing, because it says Mithluna Rhea of the Golden Rose, and then comma, daughter of the Violet Skies.
cool.
That's the full thing. But what Mithluna is doing is she is looking up at the sky, and she's going to whisper, and it's going to be up to you guys if you want to try and hear what she says, but I will definitely say it out loud for guild's sake. And it is Balthazul, why did you keep me alive?
As you say those words, a chill runs down your spine.
No, I didn't catch it.
Like an
And
11. Nope, probably not.
I got a hot 9, so no.
Okay.
a chill runs down your spine on this getting closer to summer late day. The evening passes, morning comes. As you all get to your last days of work, you're each given additional notes from workers around of small things. Filigree, you are instructed to bring the armors that you have worked on with you.
Yep.
And you all eventually pack up and head off to the next chapter, the next book. Thank you all so much for joining us on this side story. I hope you all enjoyed it. This one will be up on the YouTube after the other ones. This is the last one that will be available, and watch for the next episode of Realm of the Lost Gods, a Vanderfall story. Until next time, be well, roll safe, and enjoy the tavern.
And enjoy today's lore up. Holy crap.
Hey everyone, this is Sylvane Spectre, pronouns they, them, and Fiacre Marlowe, also they, them. Thank you for watching this episode of Tales from the Ten Lands. If you like this content, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon to get notifications whenever we post a new session. You can also catch us live every first and third Tuesday of the month at 6:30 p.m. Central Time over on twitch.tv/BlackBarrelTavern, where myself and my associates will be striving for your entertainment. Until next time, be well, roll safe, and enjoy the tavern.